So I guess a good thing for me to touch on is gas. Hey everyone, welcome to today's video where I'm going to be talking all about embarrassing pregnancy symptoms. So I got a question in my comments asking all about my more embarrassing pregnancy symptoms. I suppose I've not touched on them too much on my channel, so I thought I would do a whole dedicated video to some of the more embarrassing symptoms that I get in my pregnancies. So basically I didn't do any pregnancy videos in the first trimester of this pregnancy just because of some personal things that happened to us earlier in the year. I wanted to keep myself safe. I didn't want to get too excited about this pregnancy. As soon as I hit that kind of second trimester mark, I was happy to get going. So a lot of my most embarrassing symptoms happened in my first trimester, and I'm only in my second trimester right now. So I figured I would start with the symptom that affects me most in pregnancy. It's the first most obvious symptom that I'm pregnant to me. It happens pretty much from the moment of conception. It means that most people are pretty damn sure that I'm pregnant long before I announce it, and that symptom is vomiting. Nausea and vomiting are the worst parts of pregnancy for me. They have been the worst parts of both my pregnancies so far. I mean, I've still got almost half of this one left to go, so maybe something will be worse. But for example, just to paint a picture, is that my pregnancy with Poppy, I was sick well into my third trimester, and by the time I was 8 weeks pregnant I was throwing up 7 times a day. It was so obvious to everyone I was pregnant. Yeah, by the time I was 8 weeks pregnant I was throwing up 7 times a day as an average. It could be more, it could be less, but as an average 7 times a day. I struggled to keep any meals down. It got to the point where I didn't keep any meals down for a good few days and I ended up in hospital, and that sickness continued right up until I was in my third trimester. It got better, but it just continued. And I know that doesn't sound like it should be that much of an embarrassing symptom, but actually it gives it away. It gives it away that you're pregnant, and it's quite hard to hide. And it's also not very nice because you end up not getting the nutrients you need, so you just look gaunt, you look ill, and you're spending a lot of time with your head over a toilet, which in itself is not exactly a pleasurable experience. This time round I did my test when I was maybe a couple of days late. We weren't trying for a baby, which is why I did it earlier that time. But again, if I hadn't done that test, it wouldn't take me long to know, because I got quite sick again. And this time I was at work at a job I hadn't been in for very long. I wasn't due to be there very long, so it was only a temporary contract just for when people were still panic buying. If you're not watching this in 2020, do you remember when everyone was panic buying and everywhere needed more workers for that? That's the job I was in when I got pregnant this time. So yeah, I was in a job with people I hadn't really worked with before, and like, people figured it out quite quickly. I had people asking me quite early on, and I didn't really want to talk about it because I'd had my losses earlier in the year, so it wasn't nice to be, and that's another thing. It's like when you're being pregnant, because when you're vomiting, because it's one of the earliest signs that you're pregnant, and because everyone kind of knew from my last pregnancy how sicky I get in pregnancy, it was just obvious, and lots of people didn't know about my losses at the time. So it's just, you do get outright asked and you're not going to want to talk about it, especially if you're kind of like at least half trying to keep it on the down low. But no, again, most people had figured it out by the time I was ready to announce that I was pregnant. So I guess a good thing for me to touch on is gas. Yeah, we're going there. Never thought I'd be going there. For me, I naturally am a gassier person. Just ask anyone in my family. he'll tell you the same thing. It's very gross. It is one of the least glamorous things about me, but I'm quite a gassy person. I'm a lactose intolerant who refuses to take their lactose intolerance seriously. It is one of the first symptoms I get is gassiness. I don't know what causes gassiness in pregnancy. If it's something that you do know, please leave a comment for me so that I can learn. It'd be great. But yeah, it's one of the first things that hits. It's one of the grossest things that hits. And then by about week 10, I'm used to it, I'm over it, my partner's used to it, he's over it. But it was the same with my first baby, is that I was gassy a lot as well. So the next symptom that I'd like to talk about in terms of embarrassing pregnancy symptoms is spots. And just the quality of your skin in general. I am not generally a spotty person. I have skin on the oilier side when I am looking after myself fully. But I don't generally get that many spots, whereas you can probably even see a couple of them here even under my makeup, is that I do get more spots. It's not nice for anyone. It happens to most pregnant ladies, I think, is just their skin quality goes down. Everyone talks about this pregnancy glow, and yes, you glow, but you also get more spots because of that glow. So you might be, yeah, you might think you're complimenting a pregnant woman by telling her she's glowing, but actually chances are they're not going to take it as a compliment because it means they get spots, and it certainly does for me. My glow gives me spots. I don't know how it is for like women who have skin on the drier side already, but for me, I have oily skin. My skin got a little bit more oily with pregnancy, and it was just enough to push it past that getting pimples threshold, and I don't like it. I don't want the spots. They can go away. I'm not someone who appreciates pimples. I don't think anyone does, but that's one of my symptoms that embarrasses me the most. And again, I know it shouldn't embarrass me because it's normal, everyone gets pimples, but I don't know whether it's just because maybe I'm a little bit shallow or maybe I'm a little bit vain. I'm happy to admit that might be the case. So those are all the symptoms that I find most embarrassing in my pregnancies. If anything new comes up between now and the end of this pregnancy, I'll definitely do an updated one. I'm also thinking of doing like an in-depth video about what really goes down in labour. But again, because I'm planning on doing like a labour and delivery vlog, I don't know whether that's going to be. Either way, if you're interested in seeing that, definitely, again, hit the subscribe button. And if you have any other requests, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!